guys aren't fighting because you're passionate. You guys are fighting because you love to fight President Trump. And you Democrats don't want to come to terms with that. But here's how I know that I'm right. In Minnesota this week, there was a raid at a property where ICE and federal agents got involved because that's the other part of their job, is rescuing people. Liberals didn't do a lick of investigation or research, so they of course assumed that it was ICE arresting and detaining illegal immigrants. But what actually was it? It was not only a mission to shut down drug trafficking, but also rescuing victims of human trafficking. The street value of this meth is estimated to be anywhere around $25 million. What else did they find? 8 humans that were being trafficked, who are now rescued because of ICE and federal agents. They also figured out that the leader is tied to no other than the Mexican cartel. But because protesters didn't want to comprehend any of this, they started assaulting and attacking and trying to throw things as per usual at these federal agents. So now they've been arrested, and not for trying to speak their mind and stand up for what they believe in. They are being charged with obstruction of justice, obstructing a federal investigation, especially with drug and human trafficking. That is how I know you guys don't care about what you're fighting for, because you have no idea what you're fighting about. You don't do a lick of research, yet you're the first people on the street inciting mass amounts of chaos.
And this is how you know that they are all programmed. It's either one or two options. Either they are being paid, because there are some paid protesters and antagonists that's out here, and then the rest of them are just a part of the Democrat plantation, and they just programmed. And they don't want what's best for America. They don't want what's best for you. And for you that are the Democrats that are running around, I had a guy that called into the Millionaire Morning Show this morning, and he wanted to debate how Trump was deporting illegal migrants. What? What do you mean you want to debate it? They're illegal. They're not supposed to be here. They came across the border illegally to take advantage of the United States of America. Your taxpayer dollars, your Medicaid, your Medicare, your Social Security, whatever it is that they can get their hands on in order to insert it, in order to create a better life for themselves and their family, that's what they did. And similar to this woman, people don't even understand what Homeland Security, ICE agents, any of these people actually do, how they're segmented, their divisions, what they actually saw for, who they rescue. And so they just blindly go and fight ICE agents, blindly go and assault police officers, and now they're facing cases. The thing that I hope is that I hope that these people are made examples of, and that they are prosecuted and used as a billboard of what you shouldn't do when you then get involved with something you don't understand. Because it's unfortunate that we have to have these conversations and we have to educate the uneducated. And if you go out here to any of these protests, because I've been out to some of them before, if you go out to any of these protests and you ask them what they're standing for, or you ask them what they're protesting about, a lot of them won't even be able to comprehend, understand, or have a conversation with you, or have a conversation with somebody that's halfway intelligent, because they so programmed based off of talking points and Democrats looking to keep their power and stay in office. And the only way that they can do it is by conflating different arguments and empowering you guys and putting the battery in your back and not even doing the thing that's in your best interest, because they don't work for you. They're not going to rescue you. They're not going to get you out of jail. They're not going to help you. They're not going to stand for you. They're not going to have a conversation. They're not going to say your name at a press conference. You're going to get a felony. You're going to get a misdemeanor. You're going to mess up your job prospects. And then you're not going to be able to do the things that you really want to do, all because you was fooled and bamboozled into doing something that wasn't conducive for America or you and your family. You so dumb. You so stupid. And they out here fighting ICE agents that's rescuing people that are being human trafficked and don't even know that half of this stuff is being funded by the cartel or adversaries of America. Of course they will want to fund this. Of course they putting the battery in your back, because it works for them. It's going to be more profitable for them.
Someone who truly cared and had a passion to make things better in the world would be organized, not chaotic. Then you go to downtown LA. What do you know? The sheriff, the chief of the LAPD, everyone's coming out saying, no, protesters started this. That's why the National Guard was deployed. The chief of LAPD has made it very crystal clear that Gavin Newsom is lying, and that they asked President Trump for extra help because the protests were getting out of control. And I don't see one of you taking accountability for anything. Because when someone asks you to realize your party is behaving like animals, they'll just throw January 6th in your face. How about this? How about this? And I will post the proof. I will Venmo $20 to the first Democrat who can come up on this comment section and say, our party is kind of losing full right now. We're kind of all over the place. We're not doing the right thing right now. We're actually ruining it for immigrants. When we behave like crazy people, people aren't really going to listen to our cause, which then in turn causes less people to pay attention to actually what you're trying to fight for.
Facts.
The first Democrat to come up on this page and be able to admit that, I will Venmo you $20 right now as I sit here. There are only so many things in this country that you can deflect back onto Trump. You do it time and time again. Everything and its mother is Donald Trump's fault. And when you continue to play the boy who cried wolf, people lose trust in you. Because guess what? 66% of Americans are in favor of the deportations happening right now, which is higher than it was before President Trump was elected. And that's not because America is becoming more hateful. It's because they are becoming more scared of you. You are making President Trump look like an angel because of your own behavior. And instead of backtracking and trying again the right way, you'll just blame him for that too. When it gets to the point where your party is interfering with actual rescue missions, that's when you know that's not President Trump's fault. That is your own, and your own alone. And you need to realize that a lot of people in your party are not fighting because they actually care. No, they're fighting because they hate President Trump, and anything he says, they will be the first people boots on the ground to protest the exact opposite.
And I'll do you one better. Most of the people that voted for Democrats, they didn't vote for Democrats, they voted against Trump. The Democrats, even though they're losing, even though they're idiots, even though they just want to maintain their seat in power, the Democrats is interesting. And the reason that they're interesting is because they know that you are idiots, and they bank on the idea that you guys are not focused, you're not organized, you'll never do the research, and that you lean on talking points, and that it's easy to manipulate you guys. And so instead of you doing the research, what they do is just continue to market Trump as the bad guy. Blame it on Trump. Hey, listen, wait a minute. They're going to kill Social Security. What happened to that? What happened to the fact that Trump was going to ban abortion nationwide instead of allowing the states to be the ones to determine whether or not you can do whatever it is that you want to do with your body? What happened to people who are going to be missing Social Security checks? I don't see any of that anywhere. What happened to people that rightfully is on Medicare and Medicaid was going to lose their coverage? I don't see any of that. What happened to all of these things that just so quietly and silently just walked away? And as Trump continued to do great things, he's securing deals. You don't see any of your prices going up, even though we got tariffs. We're generating more revenue than we ever had before. But somehow, some way, because they don't want to admit that they're wrong, all they do is they create a new issue and they look to galvanize their base so that you guys can go out and crash out like the crash dummies that you are, and you can't even substantiate your argument as to why you voted Democrat in the first place. It goes against everything that you stand for, all of your principles, but you just go ahead and take your lick and keep on ticking. I always like to give credit to the content creators, so that link will be in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Do you actually think that this is working out in your favor, that you guys are actually gaining, or do you think that you're losing by being on the wrong side?